Coming up, a ceremony in Frankfort to remember more than 10,000 lives lost to COVID in Kentucky.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News Weekend Edition.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. More than 10,000 Kentuckians lost to COVID-19. Sunday, those victims were honored during a memorial at the state capitol. Jeremy Tom shares the story of one family working through the grief.
Our loved ones are not just a number. They are somebody that meant so much to so many.
In November 2020, Jacqueline Woodward lost a loved one to COVID. Her husband, Gary. They had been married for 45 years.
I have endured the greatest tragedy of my lifetime.
And yet her story is a story shared by far too many Kentucky families.
10,000, how overwhelming a number. How devastating a time it has been for so many.
Amid the moving speeches and prayers of the day, Governor Beshear said it is important that Kentuckians keep their compassion for those who are grieving and don't grow numb to the sacrifices that people have made during this pandemic.
Go back to that very first loss. All of us throughout this state were hurting for that family. The last person we lost is just as important as the first.
Woodward knows deeply what so many families across the Commonwealth are dealing with. She, her late husband, and their 3 kids all work in healthcare.
We knew the risk that this pandemic brought to us, but we also knew that we were servants that had a job to be performed.
Gary was a critical care nurse team leader.
The unit that he led is the unit that cared for him each and every day.
Now this family and thousands of others, linked together by common catastrophe, now have a common cause.
Those loved ones and I will forever have a bond that will connect us, remembering the loved ones that meant so much to us and gave so much to Kentucky.
In Frankfort, Jeremy Toms, WKYT.
And you just saw a picture being unveiled there, the new permanent memorial that will also be built in Frankfort, honoring the memory of those lost during the pandemic. Lexington artist Amanda Matthew was chosen to create the memorial.
I hope they feel the presence of their loved ones, of their family members, of other Kentuckians, and they feel a sense of belonging and unity.
The memorial monument will be called United We Stand, Divided We Fall. That's, of course, after Kentucky's state motto. Governor Beshear expects it will take about 6 months to construct. There will be an unveiling and dedication at Monument Park when it's complete. A Big Stone Gap, Virginia police officer shot and killed in the line of duty will be escorted home tomorrow. Officials say Saturday morning, Officer Michael Chandler went to a home in the 2500 block of Orr Street to do a welfare check before he was shot on the property by at least one person. He later died at Johnson City Medical Center. Saturday was Officer Chandler's 29th birthday. One man is in custody and charges in connection to the shooting are pending. We reached out to numerous officials today and no additional details about the investigation were released. Virginia Governor Ralph Northam ordered flags lowered to half staff across the state. Now, as we mentioned, an escort will be held tomorrow to honor Big Stone Gap officer Michael Chandler. That escort is expected to begin around noon at the Roanoke Medical Examiner's office and will be led by Wise County Deputy Sheriff Natasha Smith Chandler, who is Officer Chandler's wife. It will take some time to get from Roanoke to Big Stone Gap. Now, they will escort Chandler back home to his family and friends there in Big Stone Gap. First responders are encouraged to join the procession traveling 81 south Route 19 and 58 West through Coburn, the city of Norton, and US 23 South. We have more information about this on our website at WYMT.com.
We have a pretty chilly night ahead of us here across the mountains for your Sunday. Let's jump out to that camera over in Whitesburg. That current temperature sitting at 37 degrees, so it is another cold night out there. But check out that wind coming out of the west at 9 miles per hour. Makes it feel like it's less than 30, or like it's 30 degrees out there, less than freezing as we go throughout the rest of tonight. 34 in Jackson, 34 also over in Pikeville, 36 in Hazard, and 37 down in Harlan. So it is a cold night out there, and check out these wind speeds howling out of the west from 5 to 15 miles per hour, and that will continue for the rest of tonight. Now, we did have some showers move through earlier this evening. Those are now off to our south and east, so we should stay dry for the rest of tonight, but we are going to be cold out there as more cool air filters into our area. The forecast for tonight, we get down into those upper 20s. We stay under that mostly cloudy sky. Could see a few spotty showers out there, but most of us should stay dry as we go throughout the rest of your Monday. But some warmer weather is on the way. I got all those details coming up a little bit later. Steve.
All right, thank you very much, Cameron. A heavy metal benefit concert was put on Saturday night in Corbin to raise funds for a community member in need after a recent accident. WYMT's Chas Jenkins has more.
The community coming together, raising money through music to help a friend in need.
The great thing about Appalachia is that people come together to help one another in their time of need, and we always somehow tend to persevere.
A heartwarming surprise for Jonathan Taylor, a local drummer who broke his back in a tragic hunting accident, nearly paralyzing him.
You just really don't know how loved you are until something like this happens, and you just bring a whole town together. You feel like, you know, it's really touching.
With several metal acts from the region performing, wanting to help out a fellow musician.
I couldn't imagine being in that position as a drummer, you know, so it was just a way for us to show support and show love and to build this back up again, make a scene happen again, you know.
A sentiment that is 100% mutual.
I would do the same for them, you know, if something happened to one of my friends, any of these other bands, we would all band together. And it's not just a music thing, it's a community thing, you know.
Seeing a great outcome, with more than 100 people attending, raising around $1,000 in the process.
Music touches people's lives, and in a different way. Everybody has a different way to identify with music, whether it's metal, country, rock.
And while a difficult journey ahead, Taylor hopes to be back behind the kit soon enough.
I know in my heart I'm gonna be walking again and playing drums again. It's just, I'm just that stubborn, you know. It's gonna happen one way or the other. Anybody that knows me knows how I am and how stubborn I am.
Headbanging and mosh pitting for a good cause. In Corbin, Chas Jenkins, WYMT Mountain News.
Mon Holland says they are planning to host another benefit concert in Taylor's honor on December 4th. Also in Corbin, officials are already preparing for their annual Christmas parade. The festivities will take place December 4th on Main Street in downtown Corbin. The event will feature several activities for the community at Nibrock Park before the parade begins. This includes meeting Santa Claus, ice skating, crafts, and concessions. Corbin Tourism Executive Director Maggie Monholland says they want to kickstart the holiday season right.
We get people from all over the region that come in to enjoy the Christmas parade, and we ensure that we schedule it at a date and time that doesn't conflict with other parades so that people can enjoy everything the Tri-County area has to offer.
The parade takes place Saturday, December 4th and begins at 7 p.m. After months of back and forth, the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill is set to be signed by President Joe Biden Monday. The legislation marks the biggest individual infrastructure investment in U.S. history. The legislation includes $550 billion for roads, bridges, ports, airports, and mass transit. 13 House Republicans crossed party lines in voting to back the bill with a majority of Democrats.
The most significant step that we will have taken in decades to actually invest in the arteries that help move goods more quickly through our economy, more cheaply through our economy.
Now that the Marathon infrastructure bill is approaching the finish line, the White House is focusing on its Build Back Better plan, but some say that might be a bridge too far. Snoopy is heading to the moon. NASA says it will be sending up a stuffed toy of the Peanuts Snoopy as part of the Artemis 1 moon mission. NASA's astronaut Snoopy, as they call him, will serve as a zero-gravity indicator. For his trip, Snoopy will be outfitted in a custom orange flight suit, complete with gloves, boots, and a NASA patch. The mission is scheduled in early 2022. NASA is also working to land the first woman and the first person of color on the moon and lead the next steps of human exploration for future missions to Mars. It's hard to imagine why laundry detergent and paper towels would be the target of shoplifting, but law enforcement experts say these grab-and-go thefts are less random than you might think. These thefts are often pulled off by organized rings who know what they can steal and how to get away with it. In shoplifting incidents at Southington's Stop and Shop and ShopRite stores in Connecticut, employees who tried to intervene were knocked to the ground and threatened.
They're very well aware of the penalties for stealing under a certain dollar value from a store, that it's a misdemeanor. And the courts have come out publicly throughout the country to say that they're not incarcerating people for minor offenses.
Law enforcement say many stores have policies against workers putting their hands on would-be thieves. That's because suspects could try to sue the store if they sustain an injury. Coming up on Mountain News Weekend Edition, we'll have the latest COVID-19 update across the nation and concerns about cases spiking again during the holidays. Plus, a new drug is being tested to help with PTSD in veterans that might be more efficient than the antidepressant drugs being used now.
Another cold night is on tap across the mountains, but warmer temperatures are on the way. I got that full forecast coming up.